everyone, this is Charlotte. This podcast called Chatting in Cars. This is where I talk about random topics. Apparently while I freeze my absolute fucking ass off. Because it is an Australian winter at this point. I considered that. There's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics and I do swear a lot. Oh my god, it is fucking cold. I'm waiting for my heater to kick in, so I might be swearing a little bit more than usual. Although, given the topic of this podcast, I can say that my heater at this point is a blessing. So of course the topic for today is blessings. I fucking love blessings at this point. My old car used to not have a heater. It had an air conditioning thing. But because one time my ex-husband decided to hit an old lady on a bike, glass went through into the air conditioning vents, and every time you turned it on it shot glass in your eyes. So I wasn't allowed to use it after that. Well, I wasn't supposed to use it after that in case it got glass in my eyes. So I'm happy I have a heater and air conditioning that works this time. I kind of miss my old car. It was a little Barina, little green Barina. I miss Sherman. Anyway, no. He was a little tank. I called him Sherman. It was awesome. Now I'm riding Britannia. I changed. I got a new one. It's a little Picanto. But anyway, I'm very grateful for having air conditioning and heating that I can actually use in my car. I'm grateful for having a car at this point. But anyway, blessings. Yes. I'm so coffeeed up. So, it is hard to acknowledge your blessings, I guess, when you're sitting in the midst of a situation that is not always the best situation. You might feel like absolute shit in the world's going wrong. But bear in mind, there is always something to look forward to and always a blessing in the situation. Every shit scenario is something to learn from. I mean, at the very least, you know that you won't do it again. So, you can't really diss bad situations that bad. And you always look for the blessing as well. You've got to be an optimist to some degree. I mean, at this point, I'm more of a realist optimist. I like to be optimistic about the situation, but in reality, I also look for the shit bits because I'm just waiting for the, shit to go down. So, it's not always a bad thing. But I prefer to be prepared. I wouldn't want to step on going to the mindset where everything's shit and everything's going wrong and I can't fix it and we have to stay like this and just deal with the situation because it's shit. I'm pretty sure everything can be changed if need be. Oh my god, it's taking forever to kick in. It's on full bore, it's not working. I'm going to do that. I discovered new buttons in my car. I don't know what they do and I will probably never use them, but I like buttons now. Like in lifts. I like buttons. Anyway, there goes my OSD. What can we do about blessings? A lot of people are very negative in their lives. They don't want to see that, good things can come out of bad things. I mean, for example, like, to keep the mindset that a lot of things people see as curses are actually blessings in disguise. That's been a phrase that's gone for years. That's been around for ages. That's in, Jane Austen times, at the very least. You had Mary in the book saying sometimes we see blessings in disguise. I think there was something to that statement. It's been a while since I've read that book. The last one I think I read was Persuasion, but at the same time, she talks about misfortunes often being blessings in disguise. And to be honest, even if your life's going to shit, you will find a lot of shit does happen for a reason. And people hate that phrase because they feel like it just negates the feeling of the situation, which is bullshit. If you're going to be stoic, and everyone seems to want to understand what stoicism is this day, I don't know where this came from, but it seems to keep popping up. It's like, okay, you're not going to negate the feelings in the situation. You're going to use them to work through the situation and hopefully fix it so you never have to face the bad shit again, if you possibly can. Or if you do need to face it again, you're going to reduce the effect of it, the negative effect of it. I don't don't know where this stoicism has come from as a popular topic in discussions on seemingly everything lately, actually. I think it's because we're going through things like a financial crisis and stuff like that, and we are looking very much into a recession and everybody's feeling a bit shit. So, I don't know. It seems odd that, you know, people would start bringing up Greek philosophers. Usually it's motivational speakers, so I'm like, where the fuck are you pulling this from? Somebody's been Googling on the wiki. How can we draw this to something that hasn't been touched yet? I know, we'll go back a couple of centuries. Oh my goodness. But, you know, even if your life's going out the arse. For example, look at, I had 2 miscarriages. I didn't understand them at the time because I was very young. But I knew that if I had stayed with the guy I was with, my life would have been very different. We would have been, I mean, we weren't financially great at the time, but when I got pregnant, I was 20, Christ, was it 2006 and 2008, so I was 20, what's the maths on that? 20, oh, I'm a teacher, my brain's glitching. I think it was about 23 and 25. I could be wrong, my maths is off. I'm 39 now. If anyone wants to do the maths on that, go for it. My brain is just not working today because it's week 8 of an 11-week term and I just want to stop as a teacher. My brain's gone. But at the same time, I was with a guy who clearly wasn't the right one for me, because he was just unstable himself and he wasn't up to the challenge. So the first time I got pregnant, I left him because I knew this wasn't the lifestyle he wanted. I didn't bother telling him that time that I was actually pregnant. And the situation was, sorry, the sun's in my eyes. The situation, the mindset I had at the time was, this isn't for him. I know I potentially am strong enough to do this on my own, and I am stubborn that way because I don't ask for help. Which is bad. You should be allowed to ask for help, but I don't. My bad. I'll let him go and do his thing because clearly it would fuck him up. And then I miscarried. That happened in the toilet of a friend's house, actually, funny enough. Didn't see that one coming. And then a couple of months later, I got back together with the guy which is now my ex-husband, who was the guy that got me pregnant both times. 2006, I was 25, I think, something like that. 26, no, I've got to do the maths on that, my brain's fried. I was born in 85, if you want to do the maths. But the second time I got pregnant, I lost it, and I actually told him because my dad had to drive me to the emergency room. I actually told him the second time. I didn't break up with him. But learning from that experience, his reaction to knowing that I had been pregnant twice and miscarried twice, his reaction was, how could you want something that you didn't, how could you be upset by something you didn't want? Not the reaction I was expecting at the time, because I thought at least, an ounce of sympathy or something, bearing in mind something physically died inside me twice. Clearly we had different mindsets on that experience. But at the time I looked at him and I went, I don't think I could ever fucking have kids with you. I don't think so. I mean, there comes a point in your life at the time, even when you've gone through what feels like a curse, that you look at this and go, this is a blessing, because I know for a fact now with this person, if I do stay with them, I cannot have kids with you because you're a fucking asshole. Even if it's just about this one topic. It was such a cold response as well. It's not a concern of, are you okay? Do you need help? Oh my god, that's bad. It's, oh, how can you get attached to something you didn't want? And I thought at the time going, you heartless bastard. But again, it was one of those things I brushed under the rug. I wasn't married to him at the time. And we just kept, sort of dating. I say dating, we were together 10 years. I don't even know what that is at that point. Is it dating technically? Married him at 27, so. See, my infantile brain, my brain said, well, that's an asshole response to a situation that's pretty serious, but I'll stay. Because I love him. Okay. But it was terrible response. At that point, I should have recognized what kind of a person he was and fucking left. because that was a pretty serious matter, and it was the first of several pretty serious matters in that situation, in that relationship, which should have been red flags. And at the time I didn't know about red flags because I was young and dumb. Quite very young and dumb, actually. I was very much a blank up there. I was a bit airy-fairy. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing most of the time. It's not until you get into your 30s that you realise the seriousness of the situations and you go, you bastard. But in your 30s, or nearly 40s if you're like me, you can look back at this young person or this young girl and you say, would I leave her with someone like that again? No. And you can use that information as a blessing. It's a blessing, it's a lesson. It was a curse at the time, but it was a blessing. Because you can look back and reflect and say, would I leave myself in that situation again? No. Because that person absolutely was not good for me. Showed me several times over, even though it was not as obvious as the one that came after him, several times over that this person was not for me. And had my kids survived, I mean, bearing in mind they must be about 18, 16 by now if they had survived. I'm pretty sure, I'm trying to do the maths on that still. I would be a very different person. I wouldn't have done half the stuff that I would have been able to do. So in that sense, in a horrible way, them passing through was a blessing. And I wouldn't be stuck with that guy. Because I know if I'd have had kids with him, I would have stayed with him regardless. And I would have just taken the damage and kept walking. And bearing in mind, this guy was the same one that, asked me for an open marriage after 6 years of being married. So it's like, no. So I would have had 2 kids and an open marriage and this asshole. I'm going, oh my God, no, absolutely not. So at this point, I've got my freedom at the very least and self-respect. So it was a blessing. It's a horrible way to get a blessing, but it is a blessing in disguise to have something like that happen sometimes. The universe just needs to step in and say, not this one. This one's an asshole. And I'll show you just how much of an asshole he is. I mean, this was also reflected in experiences I had with him when I got, like deathly sick with measles one time as an adult. And he fucked off to go house sit someone. I swear he had a girl there, or someone. Because when I visited one time, when he was house sitting, he had like blankets on the couch and everything. The bed was disheveled, and I'm looking around the house going, have you had someone here? Sort of thing in my head. So it was always, towards the end of the relationship, I knew I couldn't trust him, sort of thing. There was always fucked up evidence and stuff. I'm like, I don't like this. So that's how I knew that it was coming to a close, that sort of situation, and the universe was intervening. There's no way I could have stayed in that situation at all, to be with that one and to sit through that. And it would have been made worse by kids, to be honest. When we separated and divorced, the good thing was that the only thing we had together was the house. That was the blessing. And even the only thing that slowed that progress was a shit housing market. So it wasn't like a case of I was holding on to keep holding him on. It's like, bitch, I wanted you gone on the day. It's like, I can't believe this. But there was just no market for it, and we would have been in debt to sell it. So it wouldn't have worked. That was a pain in the ass as well. So in the end, I ended up selling it, just trying to get closer to my ex-boyfriend. I think we just broke even on selling that house. I didn't make any money off it, neither did. We divvied up whatever was there, which was not a lot, after we sold it, and I think I put it into saving. I can't even remember. It wasn't a lot. Was I still paying off debt at that time? I think I might have been. And I tried to move closer to my now ex-boyfriend because I wanted to spend more time with him and develop a more intimate relationship. That didn't work because he wasn't that kind of a person. I found that out later. I could have very happily just rented an apartment in the area, but I chose to want to go and live with him because I thought it might do us some good. This was after, God, it would have been a year and a half of dating, if you want to call it dating. And I thought it would be a blessing to come and live with him and then try and develop something there, because I assumed we were in a monogamous relationship at the time. Doubtful. And it would help the relationship because we'd get to know each other better. But the thing about that is, The blessing in that situation was, is I did live with him and I did get to know him. And all the facade that he had put forward at the start of the relationship in the love bombing stage was absolute bullshit, because you really do get to know someone once you live with them, and you come to find their habits and what bits they've flubbed about, and you sit there and think, I cannot believe I believed this person was this other person that they said they were. And again, the blessing would be the clarity, and the curse would be the situation where you find yourself in, which is not accurate at all to the way they portrayed themselves. So I bounced from that situation. That was not bad. Into a better situation where I live alone, I manage my own rent and everything, and I don't have to worry about dealing with the drama and shit that goes along with that guy and his friends. So it's like, so that was the blessing, leaving that situation. The curse in that situation and the circumstances in which I had to leave was that we were getting evicted. The blessing was that I ended up in a better situation, better apartment, and without all the drama. So for every curse there is a blessing. For every blessing there is a curse. Some bad has to happen in order for a good to happen. Sometimes you can just get a good and it's fine and you don't have to worry about bad shit going wrong. Sometimes you're just lucky and you pick up, like you find $5 on the street or something like that. It's pretty awesome. But a lot of the times, even when you have shit situations, sorry, my stutter's kicking in, there will be a blessing in disguise in there. If nothing, it's a lesson to learn from. A lot of bad things happen because maybe we need to learn something from it. Maybe we need to grow. Maybe we need to stop repeating cycles which are completely destructive to what we're supposed to be doing. But people don't want to see them. So they keep going through these horrible cycles which they don't actually pick up on that they need to change. And then they feel like they're cursed. And you sit there and think, well, what are you doing that's obviously negative in a common sense way? Which is relative these days because people aren't doing common sense anymore, I've noticed. That needs changing, that you don't want to see because it's either what you deemed as fun or convenient or something like that. What are you doing that's not right, that's still bringing you bad fortune, or the Wheel of Fortune card reverse, or towers or shit like that? Is you sit there thinking, what are you actually doing that's obviously not good for you, but you can't or won't let go? Not that you can't, it's like you won't most times, because people can be arrogant little shits when they want to be. And it just brings like a sense of feeling cursed. It's like, you're not actually cursed, are you? You're just making a series of shit decisions. And you don't want to fix it because it might be inconvenient, or it might be uncomfortable. You might have to do more than the usual load. It's very interesting. The negative mindset also builds on itself. So if you're sitting there thinking negatively about the situation, it's going to get worse because it'll just snowball. You'll be attracting bad energies. You'll find few things might go wrong, and then it will be amplified because you keep drawing more negative energy towards yourself with this I'm cursed mindset, and then you'll start picking out negative, obvious, stuff in your vicinity. It's those people who have one bad experience and then spread it to every aspect of their life. For example, I've got kids that think kids that have a shit home life. They don't think it, they probably know it. They have a shit home life, and then they bring it into school. For example, that's one example. But the school life is nothing like home life. Like me, for example, I had a poverty cycle, abusive childhood. Both parents were berserkers. Neither of them had a stable mindset on what they were really doing, and everything was either chaos or panic or it's like it was unsteady, which is why I crave steadiness and stability so much now. I want to know that I have what I need, I can do what I need to do. I'm not asking for a lot or for much, I'm just asking for even keel calm, basically. Just keep it chill, which is why I fucking hate drama, unless I'm watching from afar and laughing at idiots. But I do have a penchant for consequence. So when I see people fucking up and thinking, I'm a connoisseur of consequence. When I see people fucking up out of arrogance, I laugh. Because I love the way people get humbled. I'm weird that way, a bit sadistic. But when it comes to, you know, seeking out experiences that are interesting to me, it's more to find stability rather than it is to find any kind of dangerous excitement or anything like that. I find that people seeking out these exciting places or experiences deemed exciting usually end up in shit circumstances. For example, like if you're doing drugs, obviously that's not going to end well. Even if you're doing the mild drugs like weed, your life's going to fuck up because you just become complacent. You'll find that you want to bury your woes in getting high. Even if it's just sedating yourself, you become addicted to it quite easily. And whenever something bad goes wrong, you'll just want to, you know, 420 it. So you're like, why don't you actually fix the problems? No, I'm just going to get high. I mean, Afro Man did a whole fucking song on it. If you go and look at the lyrics of Afro Man, Because I Got High, I think it was, he gives out several life experiences where he should have probably fixed something and then fucked it up because he just wanted to do, you know, weed. And then at that point you might think, I'm cursed. It's like, no, you just made a series of bad decisions that fucked up your life. You're not cursed. These were your actions. Take accountability. People don't want to. They'd rather project it into the ether and say it's your fault. It's like, it's not your fault. It's their fault. I find it funny. And they don't want to fix it because it's inconvenient. You need to give up weed. I don't want to. Why not? It's relaxing. It's like, yeah, but it's fucking up your life because you're becoming complacent. Oh shit, that truck just near enough cracked into someone. I'm driving into my old neighborhood and lorries are not very forgiving. He just changed lane and there was a car like halfway up his trailer. But if you look at the bad things in your life that you're deeming attached to feeling cursed, then maybe you need to assess whether they're worth being in your life. If you're in a shit relationship, does that person need to be there? And I'm not saying just ditch because they're annoying. I'm saying, can you approach it better? Is there an easier way of doing this or a more appropriate way of doing this? Or maybe you just need to figure out that you chose the wrong person or something like that and it's just not a very constructive situation at all. My brother at the moment is completely overloaded and I needed him to help me pick up a couch because I bought a new apartment. He's completely overloaded and we're sitting there having a discussion about he's just got no time for anything. He's fucking exhausted and he craves time alone. He's got 2 little girls and an overbearing wife that's constantly wanting him to do stuff. She's passive aggressive. The more I'm seeing this woman, the less I'm liking her. It's like, yeah. So he's willing to participate in a situation where he's overloading himself and at times he feels cursed. So I'm sitting there going, you signed up to this. Can you not see what your part was in this? And while he's doing what seems like a lot of like positive stuff, he's always helping someone, he's always fixing something, he's always, you know, he's always busy constructive wise. It's the way he's doing it which is creating these cursed scenarios where he's exhausted and he can't do anything that he wants to do because he's too busy helping everyone else, which made me feel a little bit like shit because I really did need his help moving that fucking couch. I've got his tiny car and he's got one of these big ones, but we sorted out how to do that in the end. But you know, we put ourselves into these situations where we need to actually take accountability for our actions. And if we've done something that's contributed to the overloading the situation in a bad way, you need to reassess what your part is in this. How can you unload it or put down that sort of 10 of wands? It's way too much. You've taken on too much, whether it was ego or lack of boundaries, or you know, you've obviously taken on too much. Bit off more than you can chew, your eyes are too big for your belly, you know, all these sayings that we learn about when we're kids. You didn't live within your means. It's time to reassess what you actually need to be doing, and maybe it's because you've taken on too much that you feel a bit pressured and cursed. Maybe you just made a series of dumb decisions. For example, sleeping around in your 20s and accidentally knocking someone up. Whoops. Some things have lasting consequences, and that will radicate into your older adult situations as well. Now you've got to factor in whether, you know, whoever you end up with what actually wants you with your kids and stuff like that. That's one example that I've got stuck in my head at this moment. I mean, the way around that is obviously a financial agreement, a prenup. You can get it, obviously, but no one seems to think that. They think, I'm cursed because now I got this kid, and nobody will want me because I got this kid. It's like, no, just get a financial agreement and a prenup. It's easily sorted. People will date you, provided that they know that they're protected and not affected by the fact that you made bad decisions earlier on in life. Sorry, I'm laughing over a situation that's probably more serious than it should be. Like, you made dumb decisions. There are solutions, and you're lucky you can bail yourself out of these situations inevitably, but, you know, you gotta stop making dumb decisions, dude. But I want to. I just want to go with it. So you don't. Stop being dumb. But they don't think it's, and we're all young and dumb once, but, you know, you shouldn't be actively seeking out situations which have lasting effect like that. You should be using your brain to a certain degree. There are solutions, but you shouldn't rely on them that heavily. You should be thinking ahead rather than just fucking winging it and hoping for the best. That what bugs me. And I sound like the arsehole because I'm like, well, I got to factor in 40% of my pay goes into whoever's had this kid and with who and child support and all that shit. And I sound like an arsehole, I know. But I'm also thinking ahead. I'm not getting stuck paying for someone who doesn't know how to make good life decisions because they fucked up 10 years ago. While they were young, dumb, and drunk, probably. That sounds like an asshole, but I'm sorry. I've always been the responsible one, and I always think ahead. Excuse me for being intelligent. Not always. I did marry an asshole. That was a fuck up. I tried being responsible. I was out of my depth with that one. I thought, you know what? I'm engaged. I'll get married. I'll do the right thing. I'll be a grown-up. And then I married the wrong one. It's like, well, fuck. We all make mistakes. My mistake wasn't lasting because all I had to do was sign a piece of paper to get out of it. You got a kid. That's a for lifer thing. Oh my god. Yeah, you know, some people really need to start fucking thinking ahead. Use your fucking brain, dude. Oh, that's the problem. It's like, you've got so many guys just going, I just want to get laid. Wasn't my ex-boyfriend used to say, I just want to fuck. I'm going, you're a fuck up. Isn't that enough? Don't be a bitch. I have to be a bitch. They don't appreciate me when I'm nice. I'm too fucking nice. That's a problem. You know, they don't listen when you're nice. You give them advice when you're nice, and it's like, oh, they take the piss. I love it when they underestimate you and they take niceness for weakness. That's a very silly thing to do. Because any person's niceness is just as bad as their not niceness. I can tell you that for a fact. Just don't flick that switch. That's everyone. That's not just everybody's nice all the time. No. Light and dark. There are two sides to this coin. And I can tell you, as much as someone is nasty, they're probably as nice as well if you get them on the right flick. But you don't take the piss. Don't just be nasty to people. Even if they are very nice to you, they have limits. But anyway, blessings and curses. Kids are always a blessing, if not a learning experience, because you got to put your ego aside and learn how to raise someone for the better. You got to put your needs aside, and I swear to God, once you have a kid, your life is gone. Don't even think about people are like, oh my God, no, I can go out partying and stuff, I still have a life. It's like, no, what you have is a giant ego that needs to be sacrificed so that this kid survives to a standard which is better than the stupid decisions you make now. They just don't want to deal with that. Put your life aside. Your life is now your kid. That is your genes. You pass on your genes. A lot of people don't want to do that. Yeah, I can still have a life. I can still go out with the girls. I can still go out with the guys. It's like, no, you can't. You chose. You chose this particular way, whether you did it on purpose or you did it accidentally. I'll tell you what, sex still leads to kids. Whether you use protection or not, there's always a chance. Don't be dumb. If you don't want that a risk of that particular lifestyle, then don't have sex. It's not like someone's going to Spider-Man it at you. You know, you enacted the situation where a potential could occur. But we use condoms. I don't give a fuck. You put the magnets together. What did you think would happen? There is a chance. Sometimes it repels. Sometimes it doesn't. Hence the reason I was on birth control and I still have 2 miscarriages. Sometimes it repels, sometimes it doesn't. But there is a chance, so that's an educated risk we take, isn't it? And sometimes you lose. Or win, depends if you want it. But no, there's you took part in that. You got to take accountability for your actions in that, whether it was a smart or a poor decision. That's up to you. How you see it is a blessing or a curse. Another toddler on a bike and you are letting it near the road. I've got to stop watching people. On the upside, having a kid, you've got a mini you potentially, or a mini version of you that could be even better. If you look at it the right way and do the right things and provide a constructive, supportive environment for its growth and maturation, you could make the world a better place, provided you bring up enough good kids to replace the shit adults which are dying out. So you have a chance to make the world better if you do it right. If you sit there and be selfish and say that my life only matters regardless of whether I got kids and my time is my own and I can still have a life, your kid's going to grow up to be a neglected little asshole and turn out like you, most likely. If you don't put the time in to do the right by the kid, it will backfire. You'll find later on in life it won't want to be near you, make you abusive, and you'll find that it doesn't want to come near you. I mean, it might turn out to be a constructive, good person still, because it's chosen to go the other way. But if you're expecting a hand back when you've given it a shit foundation, it's just not going to happen, dude. It's like you're not going to get that back. You need to make sure that you put the time in and the effort in to create these good foundations for growth and emotional development, where their personality and traits and behaviors are relatable to, you know, building a coercive environment. You know, it's not coercive, cohesive. Coercive is not always bad or good. You should listen to my coercive podcast if you want to know about that. Coercion is not always bad. It's not always good. But with these examples where people have had horrible experiences, there are a lot of blessings. You just got to look for them. And at the very minimum, it's a lesson on what not to do or what to do. I didn't have any role models growing up, realistically, but I had a lot of people showing me what I didn't want to be, which was a blessing because it gave me skills more inclined towards leadership rather than following. I don't have anyone to copy, so I make my own way, which is, some people would say it's you're hyper independent, and I'm sitting there thinking, no, this is just better. That's a trauma response. Is it though? Maybe some trauma could be good. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta look at that more openly. But I find a lot of people who are looking at role models are trying to replicate the things they've done, maybe. Not all the way. Some people are a bit crazy. I've seen a lot of Kardashian clones and I thought, how is this helping anything? They might use some parts of that role model and say these are the good bits and carry on. But when you've had no fucking role models and you are fucking sailing on your own and you're seeing a lot of rocks that are personified as people, don't deal with it. Why do they do? Assholes. They just wander out and look at the car as it goes. It's like, anyway, high school kids. when you've had a lot of people around you that are just more like rocks trying to sink your ship, you sort of learn to swerve away from them and pick up traits and strengths which are not like them. The hardest part is not to become bitter and angry. I become angry. I am a little bit bitter at times, depending on how tired I am. You'll find my mood changes, if I'm hungry or not. See, another one standing in the road. Why are they like this? But at the same time, you get to pick and choose your fights. You can choose to be an asshole. You can choose to do the right thing. You can choose to replicate people that are bad role models. You can choose to relive lessons which you should have probably got rid of. Oh my god, that sun is right there. I'll pop here and run this thing over. I don't know what that was, but it's there. Oh no, we're not going that way. But it's, you know, it's a case of choice. You have a choice as to whether you see things as a blessing or a curse. Also, it's how you take your gifts as well. Like, I've got autism. Some people see it as a disorder. I don't see it as a disorder. I don't see it as a disability. I see a lot of characteristics and traits which are actually really useful. I've got hyperfixation, so you know I'm going to get the job done. I've got set routines and OCD, which means that I need to have things in a particular order, in a particular way, and I will stick to those to make sure that the system is running. So again, you know, the job's going to get done. I am capable of varying those, but you know, it really needs to be justified. I'm capable of varying that, but you're going to have to explain why you want me to change this. And I'm going to need proper justification, not just, oh, because we feel like it today. It's like, well, that's not going to happen, isn't it? Because it's not going to work and you're going to fuck up the system. Sorry. I can be a bit anal when it comes to stuff like that. But again, if the system works, I'll keep perpetuating it, and I know that it will get the job done. I mean, left to my own devices, I'm set. When I was, you know, conditioned with sets of rules, like I think I lucked out. I got the right rules. Man, that sun is like right in my way. I might change actually. I got the right rules. So they said, don't do drugs, don't smoke, don't lie, don't cheat, don't, you know. And so I followed those rules. And, you know, whilst I got cheated on, I never actually... I lost a lot of friends from... Not friends, but like fake friends. Is that working? Oh, that's better. Slightly better. Fake friends. I lost a lot of fake friends from telling the truth, which they just don't like hearing that their facade isn't viable. Sorry, you're speaking bullshit. I don't hear you. What are you saying? Why aren't you going with it? Why aren't you going with this fake persona that I created that I think everyone wants to know and like? It's like, because it's a lie. Why are you lying? Bugs the shit out of him. He's like, why aren't you going with it? I think I'm cool. It's like, I don't think you're cool. I think you're lying. It's hilarious. Why do they do that? Empty car park. Yep. Anyway, it's no one I know. But the thing is, it's like, I've never done drugs, so I've never had the negative side effects of drugs. I don't smoke, so I don't have the negative side effects of those. I don't drink. I tried drinking, but I didn't like it, so I didn't really pick it up and carry on with it, so I don't know the negative side of that. I think I really lucked out with the, you know, being conditioned with rules. Because some people get the wrong information. Some people go into the whole peer pressure, side effect things, and they take up the rules, like negative ones, like you should take drugs and you should drink, and they take up those rules, and their OCD kicks in and they say, this is how it has to happen, and you're wrong, and I'll stick with these because these are the rules, and you know, and it just backfires because their life spirals because they were given the wrong information to follow, and then because they've got ASD, they sort of stuck and they couldn't get out of it because they're in a spiral. And it's a hard thing to change when you've got that characteristic of your, you know, your mind, where you have to stick with those particular laws. They're less like rules and more for laws, like laws with ASD. It is hard to break the laws, which we've sort of inculcated. Yeah, sometimes it's a mix, but my ones seem to have come out all right. I followed the right ones. So, you just don't have that bad side effects. But at the same time, I should be able to look at anything that is making my life feel like shit and change it, because it's obviously not. The blessing is that I'm learning from it, if I do learn from it at all. But some people don't want to actually look at it. And it takes a lot of effort and humility and looking at what you've contributed to the situation and saying, I was wrong. This isn't working. I need to change this. And how can I change it? And how can I ask for help? And asking for help also is like a hard thing to do. A lot of people can't ask for help. Sorry, that sun is like right there. I didn't change direction. Park under the tree. I got prac teachers around my school or something. Can you hear them? Anyway, I gotta go. All right, so I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm hoping, even if you're feeling like you've got a very cursed life, sorry, that visor is just not doing anything. Try and see the good in it. Obviously, we want to see that silver lining, but at the same time, if you know that it's crap and you haven't changed it, don't sit in misery and say I'm cursed and this is all it's going to be and that's all I can do. You need to actually go out, check out what part you had in this, and do something about it. I mean, I don't sit there. If you've listened to the victim mentality one I did podcast, it's like don't go and change it. It's absolutely within your power to start organizing your life the way it should be, or the way that should be constructive or constructed. I think I'm gonna have to leave it there. Plus the sun's in my eyes and it's bugging me. Take it easy. Have a fantastic Thursday. I'm gonna do another one tomorrow and possibly park somewhere better. And I'll see you tomorrow.